Board of Sewer Commissioners meeting. Today is July 27th, 2023, at 6:30 PM in room 320. May I have a roll call, please?
Sandy Slavin.
Bob Scanlon.
Peter Dunlop.
Bernie Pigeon. We have 5 present and a quorum. Next item on our agenda is the acceptance of meeting minutes, and we start with May 25th.
Mr. Chair, I have reviewed these minutes some time ago, and on July 5th, I sent a note to our person doing our minutes what needs to be corrected on July 5th. I sent the same set of corrections on July 16th. They are not in the minutes presented tonight.
What is the corrections you have, and we'll amend them right here?
No, they're words.
Beg your pardon?
I did, last time I looked at this, I said it in the meeting what needed to be changed. Okay. On acceptance 3, due to technical errors, my notes are 5:11 minutes will be held pending correction. Under sewer business, articles, before a motion was granted, insert, we will continue to pump Wankinko using staff twice weekly. The last sentence after 400 vote, Guy will report findings at the next meeting. Number 3, under sewer business, outstanding capital. I don't know what this means, capital 2015 capital, as well as updating notes and prices. Add that Bernie will reach out to the Bourne Sewer Commissioners regarding Bourne's contract and then to BOS. Number 5, both the Warren and Alpha contracts were put on hold and neither were approved, even though the minutes say they were approved. Number 7, Guy will draft a letter to Bowen regarding the flow vote 400. As you can see, they're more than just slight amendments. There's a lot to be updated in this set. As I said, I reported it on July 5th, and again, I sent it on July 16th, and you were copied.
Now, how serious do you think these ambiguities are?
I think they're quite. I want it to be known that we had a motion to continue pumping Wankinko twice weekly. And part of that was that Guy was supposed to contract someone to do it 3 times a week. We had contracts, we had contracts, and in here it says they were approved, and we didn't approve them. To me, that has to be corrected.
In the minutes, you're approving what is said at the meeting. Are you alluding that that also means the action must be concluded?
It says, "The trailer office is located at WPCF ground, $600 per month. The board motion to approve the contract as printed, 400. We never approved it. It was put, Danny Moore and the Alpha contracts were put on hold. Neither were approved. The minutes tell me they were approved. I find that an error. I can't accept that."
Any other comments regarding the minutes of May 25th?
On the Danny Warren contract and the Alpha Analytical contract, I thought,
Your microphone on, please.
I'm sorry, with the contract C and D, I thought both of those were approved.
They were approved in the next, they were in the next meeting, not the meeting of the 25th.
In other words, you're saying they have been approved, they just weren't approved at this particular meeting. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, that is it. I'm saying they were not approved at this, I
Okay.
cannot put them approved in these minutes because it did not happen.
And as the transcriptionist, how did she get the information to place it in C that we approved it 400 if, as I understand how she takes transcription, is from a video? So she couldn't very well have gone over to the next meeting's video and actually saw an action to approve it in that particular time. It's 2 weeks after that, the 2-week gap.
It is possible that the comments that were made on the contracts A and B were just copied down. I don't know. But there has to be something in here that we agreed to pump Wonkinko using the staff twice weekly to prevent the overflow that had occurred. I don't see that in the minutes. I want to put in there that we understood that there was a problem on Kinko and we were addressing it with pumping it twice a week. It's not in here.
Guy, do you recall discussion that you may have had with us in terms of the frequency of pumping Wonkinko?
Yeah, probably for 4 years. Which one do you want?
Beg your pardon?
Probably for 4 years. Which one do you want?
Do you
I'm
recall
confused.
making any reference to the frequency within, let's say, the last month or two?
Well, I know we talked, so first of all, we check it every day and pump them as needed. And I know we talked about a contract for someone, and of course, we didn't have the funds when we talked about it. I'm not verbatim, cannot give you any discussion verbatim, but I know generally, yes, we talk about pumping it, we've talked about contracting it, we've talked about frequency, we've talked about the issues, we've been talking about that general comments for years. I can't be specific to what Sandy, I don't have that specificity.
Well, I'm going to
to that
ask,
degree.
if you were normally pumping it twice, have you diverted from that and now pumping it 3 times, or are you just doing as normal twice?
We pump as needed. We could pump it once
So
a
it's
week.
as needed versus
We could pump
a,
it 4 times a week. We've pumped it 3 times already this week. So it depends.
So it's
Today,
not a
this,
protocol?
no, we check it every morning. If it's above 8 steps, we pump it. Today, it was at 3 steps. We pumped it. I think a couple days ago, we had a discharge from the manhole. We checked, it was at 8 steps. In the next 5 hours, it shot up. There's too many variables. Water consumption, what people are flushing, there's too
understood.
many
We're
variables.
just trying to
But we
clarify
check
the
it
writing.
every day, and I
I'm
can't.
not questioning what you're doing, just
Because,
say whether or not it's in the
So I-
bonus.
yeah.
Then,
Peter
I'll
questioned
I'll
how
entertain a
often-
motion to put this on hold.
yeah, Peter made a question of how often do we pump? The discussion was that we were doing it twice a week with the staff, and Guy would look into a contractor to pump 3 times a week.
May I have a motion to place this on hold?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Motion is made and second to put the minutes from May 25th on hold. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
And I recommend that maybe somebody else take a look at that video if they want to adjust what I've recorded.
Next item on our agenda was June 8th, and I believe our clerk has noted that June 8th had been accepted at a previous meeting. Moving on to C, which is July 5th. Motion to accept as printed.
No. May I go over my adjustments?
Briefly. We just put it on hold.
Put it on, well, for one, we started the meeting at 5 o'clock instead of 6:30, but then it goes on, we did not record what we said about our articles as we should have. So I recommend that July 5th also be put on hold.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded that July 5th be put on hold. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Next one is July 13th.
I have concerns about this also. It's my understanding Jimmy was also at that meeting on July 13, even though they said it's absent. The minutes were not clear as to what was accepted as to what vote. Then I have a lot of other adjustments out through the document in which we took votes and they weren't recorded in the minutes.
That I am concerned about if we did take votes and they are not recorded, of course.
And it doesn't mention anything about the increased EDUs because of the attending articles, and I think that's an oversight and needs to be included, because we talked about the EDUs that would be increased. As I said, contracts, we sign contracts, 6 of them. They're not listed as 6 individual contracts, and I think that's an oversight in the minutes.
This is July 13th, correct?
Yes, I make a motion, we hold July 13th.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? July 13th is on hold. The next one is April 13th.
Starts out with a portion of this meeting was lost, and we have information on my notes that we approved a set of minutes and that we held 3 sets of minutes. If I go down to the ODS contract, it says Primus as well as the Chinese market. I'm not sure what that was. We were trying to compare 2 types of lining, and I think we really need to say it was the bullet liner that was being compared against the Primus, and we signed a contract for $83,000 for ODS to do a comparison between the 2. And there was a statement made regarding Littleton Drive that no betterment was going to be applied against the development because it was town-owned property, and I really want that in the minutes. Because there has been discussion as to whether or not Littleton has paid the expenses of having sewer. We discussed lateral, we discussed moving a
You want to put
trench.
April 13th on hold?
Yes, please.
Please make a motion then.
I make a
Second.
motion, making 413 on hold.
And the last one we have is June 22nd.
Do you want to take a vote on that one, Bernie?
I have, we made votes.
Sandy, excuse me.
We have to vote on
Do you want to take a vote on the April 13th?
All my apologies.
I thought we did. Okay,
Motion to place April 13th on hold has been made, it's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed?
it.
Unanimous.
I wasn't here, so, for this meeting.
that's
Oh, you're
still,
abstaining.
Yeah.
Let the record show that Bob Stanlin abstains, and the motion would be 4-0.
then we took on, June 22nd, we voted on our articles, Article 1, 2, 3, 4, and those votes are not recorded in the sets of minutes. Neither is the vote for the NPDEP discharge approval of 500. There was no mention of the 61 Pilgrim Street backup and why it happened.
You want to place this on hold, please?
I need to place it on hold. I can't find it. It's not complete enough to me to accept it.
Motion's made and seconded. Any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
No, that was painful.
Now, as far as the errors are concerned, we've had difficulties going through. We've tried auditing and like, whether or not we've had them, I was able to do that. But now this issue with the errors, I have, Guy, I have some DVDs. I believe you have the others that we may be missing. And I'll stop by tomorrow and pick up these for on hold, and I will peruse and see how they're transcribed.
Sure. I don't think they're verbatim, but yeah, I think she just points out generalizations, but you may want to say, I want it very specific, I want it verbatim, that type of thing, and
Well,
she can do that.
It's just, from my point of view,
Yep.
we have too much problems with this, and I think
Yeah, I agree.
perhaps it's too detailed. But we'll figure that out.
Is that going to be the solution, Bernie?
It'll be the solution that I make.
I mean, it'll be the solution for these, but
If,
what are we gonna do going forward to avoid this?
and that's the next issue. Going forward, when Christine finishes the agenda and sends it over to be posted, she will also send an agenda with any minutes that she's finished that are on the agenda to us also as a attachment. It'll be our responsibility to read them and then bring them to the meeting if we want to make any amendments.
Okay, so.
But you'll be amending your-
And then we'll correct them, and so that by the second meeting, there'd be,
Yes.
a-
Well, we'll just on the floor, just amend it right
Acceptable.
there.
oh, okay, all right,
And so we accepted that night.
all right,
Because this is when it's your language, when it represents you in the meeting.
okay.
And you should be the one to determine whether or not it's correct. And the clerk, as far as business is concerned, will confirm whether or not business is correct.
Okay, terrific.
Okay, and now that leads us into the Commissioner of Business. We have a second open meeting law complaint. One of the issue is because we have so many on hold. The second one is that there are, as far as the website is concerned, the minutes and even the agendas are not up to the date to the number that we've had. And I'm not sure how they make it, whether it's through town clerk's office, when our clerk turns in the meeting minutes, how it's posted on our website. And our agendas also goes over to the town clerk's office, and from there it's supposed to be on our webpage. It's not up to Christine and Guy or anyone to make sure it hits our webpage. They're supposed to take care of that.
I would like to make, when agendas are created, they are sent to a place called Meetings at
Yes.
Wareham. That Meetings automatically sends it to IT for posting, so the clerk does not even get involved. Minutes are supposed to be sent to meetings.ma.us, and that's supposed to be posted as IT receives it. So if Meetings email address is included in the distribution, the clerk doesn't have to do anything with it. The clerk only touches it if the minutes are presented to them paper-wise, manually at the office.
Okay. And I remember seeing the email that describes that, to send it to those two addresses for the issues to be accomplished. But obviously, we have something in the system that isn't working to our satisfaction, so I'll check into that. Any concerns or questions regarding it from anyone?
Second meeting, open meeting, I thought they were looking for some report from 2014.
I don't think I didn't see anything. And I have all the printout of the minutes that they were looking for, even the most recent. Because you had mentioned that, and I
Yes.
deliberately was trying to find something that you were
I
referencing.
know there was, the second request that we received from the clerk indicated they were looking for some type of report that was done, an engineering study that was done in 2014.
Well, isn't 2014 prior to us?
It's on the borderline.
Excuse me?
It's on the borderline. I don't know when the transfer was made from the selectmen to the sewer commissioners.
Yeah.
It was someplace in 14, and I can't remember when this report was done.
Well, they're looking for, in the last paragraph from the one I recently printed, yep, on the
Wouldn't it-
12th.
Wouldn't it have to have been done right after elections in November, so say the first of the year?
Yeah.
Sorry.
They're looking for completing minutes in a timely manner for all of 22 and 23 to date, the lack of listing all documents and exhibits used in its meetings in its minutes for all of 22 and 23, minutes completed in regard to the commissioner's flawed agenda postings or notices as described in the OML.
Now, the most recent one we had asked for some type of report that was done in 2014, that where they first started talking about the clarifiers needing repairs. Guy, anything, Guy, can you remember something from that far back? An engineering document saying we have problems?
not specific 2014, we did a comprehensive or a capital improvement plan in 2013, 2014 era, I'm not sure what date, talked about all that, clarifiers and many other components, but not specific to just the clarifiers. But I thought the document, more than anything else, identified the transfer of power in 2014, and that the board is responsible to develop a master plan. I think that's what it was related to, the year 2014. I'm trying to look up the email now.
Well, in alluding to that, I'll give you this. Bob, you pass this down, please. There's 3 of them there, I think. And the clerk for personal, and then the use. This is an inventory starting from our own webpage to the inventory I have of all the GHG and other consulting firm reports that I have that we received over time. I basically put it together so we can make reference if we have questions on anything.
And this came off of our website.
Yes. However, the first page is a Word, and it's a list of the documents I have here, which may not be on our website.
Oh.
Sometimes there are over 200 pages in it, so I wasn't going to scan them in and kill my printer. I will probably go down to that little building that's off Tony Lane. I think they may have a copier in there I can kill. But I'm getting them, I'm going to be doing that to get them on our line, and anybody can look at them if they feel there's a lack of information from someplace. And that should hopefully take that line where it says looking for the list of all documents that we make reference to, and they'll be easy to look up. She gets very detailed, and that's like, I was going to refer to it later on in our minutes, but are we all certified on the open meeting law and the conflict of interest? And given our certifications over to the clerk?
Yes.
Sandy, do you recall anyone not?
I would not have that knowledge. They don't go through the clerk. They don't go through the clerk of the sewer commissioners. They go to the clerk of the town of Wareham.
When you go to the clerk, would you hand mine in? Now, to get that certificate, just go on the Selectmen's webpage, and it's in the committee handbook, the back pages. You'll have to take the course, of course, on the ethics.
I think there was a copy of one that Peter had done recently that was forwarded.
I believe
I'm
Peter
complete.
is.
I'm complete with it.
And Bob, do we have someone playing hooky? And it's every 2 years you have to do it, Jim, so you may have.
The clerk gave a copy of everything, all 4 of us, and Peter just recently finished his. So I've seen all 5 of them online provided to the person who made the request.
So you feel it's taken care of? I know I
Well,
didn't
that
turn
is
mine
that
in,
is the ethics.
because mine was
I don't
done-
know about the open meeting law.
Yeah, that's another one. Has to be done.
There is another email from the clerk that asks for some information, including this engineering plan, and I'm trying to find it.
I haven't seen that one.
Well, is it possible you can ask the clerk to see if there's anything outstanding in the open meeting requests that haven't been fulfilled?
Yes, I can do that, of course. But typically, she sends me the issue directly at C.
Now, it was done within the last 2 weeks.
I'm looking, yeah, this one's dated 7/24. And it's from Deborah.
Deborah sent one July 24th,
Yep, I have it here.
of which it went to Sewer Commissioners Judy Whiteside, Nora Bickey, and Shane Martin. That was July 24th.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it downloaded because that's the one that asked for a report. Okay. Copy of the master plan for the town-wide systems of sanitary sewer which shall include, et cetera, et cetera. It was a, providing the sewer commission for the town of Wareham approved May 22nd, 2014. So they are looking for, this person is looking for a copy of a master plan for the townwide sewer, sanitary sewers. It was listed under, the document was listed under powers and duties of the sewer commissioner's website in the charter and was included in the requirement of the act providing for sewer commissioners. So that was the document that was requested on July 24th.
That's why I was going through the inventory of all the documents I could find or was aware of.
Master plan was your 2002 comprehensive wastewater management plan addressing the sewer, and in it has all the maps, sewer areas, and all the information that would cover from 2002 to 2022. That's your master plan.
The issue is we haven't been able, I haven't seen it online. Any idea where I find it, Guy?
We'll put it on a stick for you. The 2002 has been submitted, it had to be submitted to everybody in town that I'm aware of. DEP has it. They asked me if I want another copy, but we'll get a copy for you. Yeah, I've got a copy at the office, it's this thick. So you're welcome to it. You're welcome to look
The
at
first meeting I
it.
had with Mark regarding the comprehensive plan, Lee handed that to me.
Yeah, that's the 2002 plan, and that talks about the future, all the areas to be sewered. And anytime there's a development during that planning, 2002 to 2022, had to go through that master plan, if you will. So it laid out the future. It talked about the expansion of the treatment plant, the whole thing, how many people you had on staff at the time, what you're going to need for staff, what your rates should be. All that stuff's in that master plan from 2002. Yes.
I'll talk to the town clerk about it because I think there's some issues in terms of if she wants one to be printing of it. And I'll have to see what the details of the requirements are. Okay, I think moving on to the moratorium. These are one of the issues that we are permanently having on our agenda. Nothing has really changed, unfortunately, and that's unfortunate. We do not have the ability at this time to change anything or any of the situation which would allow us to consider loosening any of the moratorium restrictions that I can read. Anybody want to make comment on that?
I think the last thing we were working on is trying to get a comprehensive list of all the projects that were approved prior to a moratorium. I have two lists, you have a list, and at the last meeting, we said that none of them agreed. I think we
Correct, yeah.
still need a list of the projects that were approved prior to the moratorium. Some of them have been around for a long time, and maybe it's time to consider if the work will not be done, can they be removed from the report, and therefore the gallons could be released.
Yes.
But until we have a comprehensive list of what we approved prior to the moratorium, I am not aware of any project that has been submitted to us and held because we didn't have the gallons. I'm not aware of anything that is pending. Mr. Campito, what's happening on the hill by the school?
Oh,
That's a project, I believe that's going to be septic system, so we wouldn't be
So
involved.
we're going to put a septic system in on top of a hill over wetlands. Why can't,
excuse me, Where are you going with this? Because this is not on our agenda.
I'm talk about the moratorium. I wanted to see if there was anything in the queue.
What's the name of the project, please?
I have no idea. So just homes next to the elementary school. Nothing has been brought forward to us to either deny or accept a project. Mr. Campina must have heard about it, because he says they're going to do septic systems. We've never heard anything on the board regarding that project.
I haven't seen anything in the permitting process.
Well, if it's septic, would we?
Huh?
If it's a septic system, would it involve us at all?
No, but we have a requirement that if sewer is available and it goes, they have to connect to sewer.
It goes past,
That's a force main.
True.
So that policy is arbitrary at best. If it was a gravity sewer, then the DEP would require them to tie in. We have the option of allowing people to tie into a force main.
And
And so if we had a policy that says, if there's a force main, you will tie in, that's one thing. We don't have a policy mandating tying into a force main, but they can.
what is
And
the
it
name,
means-
sorry, Guy, what is the name of this project we've never heard of?
I don't know, it's a continuation of the condos. The gentleman bought that continuation of the condos that are there. And so he can't do sewer, so he's going to do septic.
from across the street, you mean?
Are the other condos tied in?
Yes, they have a pump station. And the original plans many years ago before me, so look at the condos on the left.
Slow down. They have a pump station.
They do.
And then they tie into our force main?
That is correct.
Okay.
So they stopped and they left the land vacant. I think we own a piece of that somewhere. But nonetheless, they sold it. I guess the condo decided to sell it. They sold it to this individual. He can't do sewer because there's a sewer moratorium in Wareham which has been publicized. So he's going to do septics so he can move on with his project.
Is there a name of this project?
I don't have a name. There was no
He's already
name.
said there isn't a name.
I said originally it was a...
Said a name.
I did not. I said originally it was a continuation of the condos that are there.
That's not the case.
They sold it, so he bought that, so I can't tell you what he named it, what it's going to be named, how many he's going to
Just
do.
to be cleared, there are how many houses on Minot Ave that we approve connection to our force main? So it's something we've done for every one of those structures coming up on Minot Ave, from
Prior-
Snows down to the intersection, all going into force main. So we approved them and allowed it,
All prior to the
all
moratorium.
prior to the moratorium. But there's no reason, why isn't this project coming for us as a potential project so we can list it as a pending sewer connection? That didn't even come to us.
They're going to do septic, I don't know why.
It doesn't have anything to do with us.
Yeah, it
Go ahead.
sounds like to avoid us, they're
To
putting a
avoid
septic
us,
system.
we're going to put a septic system on a hill over wetlands. I love it.
But that doesn't apply to us.
apply to us.
That's conservation.
That's not
That's
us.
part of our wheelhouse. Doesn't show up at all.
It's not us.
I mean, I see your
I
point,
got-
Sandy, but it
I
doesn't
got
come
the
to us.
impression that if sewer was available, they had to connect.
Well, as Guy explained, that's
And it
to
isn't the case?
Arbitrary.
Okay. And those 10 units going on Main Street off of CVS, I haven't heard anything about that one.
There's a line that goes down, I believe, down High Street and then down Main Street.
Granted, but
So both sides are covered. How many connections is something they obviously went before this group as well as every other group and got approval because they're pouring
No.
cement for the foundation.
that's not the one Nazi's property. It's the one that has the house on the hill with the green outside of it, opposite CVS. They're coming before 10 units. And they haven't, I've never heard of them coming before us asking for sewer hookups for 10
perhaps.
units.
It's in the system, Sandy, I denied it. It's in the system, and
you
I said...
denied it.
It's in the system, and what I said is that the town of Wareham sewer commissioners have a moratorium. There'll be no sewer granted. That's what I say in all of them.
I would like to have known that.
Well, it comes
come
up,
before us.
it comes in a...
Guy
It-
dropped, stopped
Guy
it.
didn't authorize anything either way, other than
I'm
to
just saying-
say, here's a moratorium, period.
When they apply for a building permit, it goes online. I just go and say, okay, we have a moratorium. I'm done.
How many of the others have you denied?
I can't tell you. Building permits come up daily.
So we have no idea of what might be pending.
Well, it'll be,
We never
Okay.
have,
because there's no way, they're not moving forward with sewer.
because there's no requirement. which is an issue we're going to cover in another area. Because there's a few holes that you've all mentioned that should be closed. But to sit here and say, oh, that doesn't come before us, or we haven't seen that, well, you haven't taken action that causes them to come before you.
Okay, we always used to get it.
Well,
Okay,
it's just the basis for your disagreement or your argument that it should come before us. Okay, the next item, capital plan. I've always felt that, well, the capital plan covers principally the plant. I've always.
Excuse me. Are we going to get together on one moratorium list or not?
I beg your pardon? Excuse me.
Sandy says she's got 2 lists. Guy's got one and you've got one, and none of them agree. What are we going to do about that?
I apologize. Yes, I'm in the process of putting them together. And I get Sandy's list. There's a list, 2 lists in one of the consultants' reports, and there's also a list I found in the files.
Okay. So we're going to get it all together, and
Yes,
Then we
you'll
can
have it the
agree
next
on it.
meeting.
Okay.
You'll have it the next
all it
meeting.
is projects that were approved prior to the moratorium. Hopefully, we can release some of them so we can get
Please don't
gallons
mention
available.
that.
now,
Please don't reference
are
that.
we also going to get a list of all of the people that are on the queue,
We have no queue.
waiting on the moratorium?
We have no queue. We
Why?
have nothing. Guy hasn't passed them to us. He's denying them.
They're not queued. We have a queue. Someone sent a
Have a
letter.
queue.
Yeah, someone sent a
List
letter.
of those, yes, we do.
What list do we have of people waiting for sewer?
Those
Depot
are
Street.
pending the lifting of the moratorium.
I don't,
From my understanding, when I came on board, when I saw that list, it was a list of people who are in the queue, and when the moratorium is lifted, I'm not sure they'll be reviewed, or they were allowed to go forward. I
that,
have not, listen, if you haven't set a motion to put something in place, we're just having a dialogue here. So there is nothing that compels anyone to do anything.
we have no pending list. Nothing is in the queue. The list we have was all approved prior to the moratorium. There is nothing that I know of.
But I'm confused. What is a queue? If not prior to the moratorium, they're waiting in a queue to go forward.
No, well, they've been approved for sewer.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the list I refer
That's-
to when I
that-
say there's a wait list, they're in queue. They're in queue because action has already been approved, and they're waiting,
Which was different than,
waiting certain stipulations to occur.
we had been using the word queue for work,
Indeed.
than work that hadn't been permitted and on hold for moratorium. So the queue is being used differently for different purposes.
A wait list, from my point of view, too. It can be any one of those words.
But they've been approved. They just haven't been implemented.
That's what I assume from when I see the
Yes.
list.
The list is approved but not implemented.
Correct.
Does that help you, Peter? I've got nothing, I know of nothing waiting for approval.
Mr. Chairman, about a month ago, Depot Street, I think he has some apartments there. I think Sandy mentioned he's been in front of some other boards. He wants to expand that, I think over a garage or something, so he came before us. He actually sent a letter in. I thought we held it, but I don't know the official, I'll have to go back to the minutes. But that's one thing I know of that someone's brought to us in the last year that wasn't on the queue, if you will, or the old list, but wants to do something new. This just came up. So I know of that one. That's the only one I know of. I think it was Mr. Bushman.
I don't remember voting on it at all.
No, we had it in front of us. Like I said, I have to read the minutes.
I've gone through
I
my
thought
notes.
we said to keep it, hold it, put it, whatever, but I'll look and see what the minutes actually say. But that's the only one that I'm aware of that's been presented as a project.
I get frustrated, in fact, when I'm going through, gathering up these papers from different locations. I went through the trailer and found something. Guy has given me something. I've gone through the webpage to get something, and I've gone through the stuff that GHD has given me. I'm getting all this paper, and I find, you never had this paper. And I'm frustrated. Why didn't you get your own copies of it? Why didn't you demand your own copies of it? Because you're here just trying to discuss it and disagreeing with each other, and yet the documents that you're referring to, you don't have. So you can't verify what list that you're referring to is the list that you're referring to.
I couldn't agree with you more. When we first started with this queue, I said I didn't like using that word because there were too many different queues. That there's a list for the people that are on the waiting list. Now, there was a list of people that were approved, and then Guy had a list of people that are putting in building permits and looking to get on a list. You can use 3 different queues, and it gets very confusing. And we never did get it straight as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, and that's the way it sits then, Peter. It's unfinished.
Well, can we add it to our workshop?
Well,
Yes, it's in the
if that's the
workshop.
way it sits, is that the way we want it to sit?
Of course not.
Okay. So what are we going to do?
But I apparently have been the only one going around accumulating all this paper, which is the proper way of doing it. I mean, if you have 2 or 3 doing it, you're back to be 2 or 3 lists. So I'll incorporate another newbie to assist me in this effort. And we'll get one list.
We'll get one list.
Everybody will have it, and that's the only list. So you can even make a motion if you want to do something definite and say, this is the list we're going to work off of, and this is the correct list. And that'll be it. That'll be our Bible. Anything else?
Well, I'll wait till I see the list.
Okay. In the capital plan, as Benny can say, everything on the list pretty much pertains to the plant. I like to see us add the collection system to that list. We have 45 pumping stations of various ages. I'm sure, as a matter of fact, I had asked Guy early on to update the list that he had, and the other day he said he had done it and turned it over to Mark for completion. And I think there are issues with the pump stations that are equally as critical as the issues with the plant itself. And I think they should be included in the priority list or in the capital plan that we have.
Now, you recently had a meeting with Capital. Can you let everybody know what that was about?
Excuse me?
You recently had a meeting with Capital Planning.
Yes,
Can you let everybody in the sewer commissioners know what was discussed?
the 2 articles we had on the warrant.
Oh, I thought we
I was
went beyond
invited
that.
to the capital planning to present those 2 articles, which we had on the warrant Monday night. That's the only reason I've been before capital. Is there something else you have, Sandy?
Oh, I'm trying to find the capital plan, because I know that we have ongoing, at least 7 different ongoing projects, and that includes updates of pump stations.
I didn't cover
So,
any of that on
I
capital
know, but
planning.
you wanted it included in the capital plan, and I'm telling you, it's been ongoing on the capital plan for at least 6 years.
The pump
Ongoing
stations?
pump stations, generators, et cetera, ongoing, and it never seems to make it to the list.
We've got an ongoing of $550,000 per year for rehab of pump stations. We've got it on for 5 years. We've had it on for,
Yep, longer. So there are included in the capital plan,
they're there.
they're there. They just don't seem to find the funds to make it happen. See under the word ongoing, you got that whole list right there. Repeating there's at least 6 down there that says ongoing. And we never seem to get to it because always big projects come in and it puts it down the list of priorities.
Well, when we rehab pump stations, I would like to see a little more detail in terms of the criticality of an individual station. You may have some of them that are original installs back into the 70s that are still ongoing, and they should,
They're listed at criticality.
yeah,
So as your pump stations, Narrows, Hines, Dix, they're all very high critical.
I think that's
Some of these
the
others, just.
last one that he gave me,
So he's going to update.
220 pages.
He's going to update. I pulled these three. He'll
So-
update them.
Yeah.
What you have is what capital planning has received from the sewer department. So there's no detail behind those ongoing projects. If you would like them, they've got to be included and presented to the capital plan so they can be added to the 5-year plan.
I think the detail is necessary for this board, not necessary for capital plan.
That's your, I mean, we have it on there, and I'm just heard it's got to be more detail, so I'm hearing that it's not enough detail.
You're suggesting that the detail is necessary for this board.
Okay, so it doesn't have to go to capital planning.
I believe the detail is necessary for capital plan, because they're not gonna do a damn thing about it, and they shouldn't be.
No,
All we're interested in is the total dollars to accumulate a total package, so everybody has an idea what our cost, liability potential is.
so the sewer commissioners go through those ongoing projects and prioritize the components of
Exactly,
each
that's what we
task,
said.
and that has to be done. Because it can't be done,
It's gonna be changing every day.
yes, it will.
Well, you know, the way it sits right now is the way it should continue to sit. If you want to prioritize the pump stations, well, that priority, ask Guy, it can change.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Exactly.
Bernie, are you all right with that? The capital plan stays the way it is?
For the time being, yes. But, and Peter, in retrospect on the moratorium, this is all the paperwork I've found thus far. Okay, moving on. Special town meeting. If we had 1.5 more bodies there, we would have won. Any comments, concerns, questions?
Did we recently get something regarding an extension?
Yes. It went out Tuesday morning.
So what does that actually mean?
It asked for the continuation of the waiver to October.
Yes, but what does it mean to us? Does it mean we go back to town meeting and try and change their minds?
Going to go back on the warrant, yes.
For the record, can you let the public know what this extension is called?
What does it read there? Are you looking at it?
Is the extension automatically granted?
No, we have to apply for the waiver. An extension of the existing waiver.
Now, so who grants us the extension? The state?
That
Yes.
is correct.
Excuse me?
Yes, you're correct.
So we have filed for it,
That's correct.
Correct.
but that doesn't mean we're going to get it.
That's correct.
Goes to
Now,
October 31.
one of the other points that Alan brought out is we're applying for this money, but that doesn't mean we're going to get it either.
Excuse me, if we do the waiver is approved.
Yeah, no, yes.
What monies?
Based on approval of town meeting, we'll receive the monies.
Say that again, please?
They're giving us the waiver to continue on for the application, which is one of 60 that were submitted, and we're number 58 on the list. So if they accepted, we will get the money.
Okay, it's called,
But first of all, we've got to get the extension.
Yes. I have the application for it. I can't say I've heard verbally that we've already received it.
for the record, it's called Clean Water State Revolving Fund, CWSRF number 12430, request for SRF extension. That's the formal request for an extension.
Yes. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, the 36 million is approved. We are approved for the 36 million. What we're trying to accomplish now is to appropriate the funds. So the SRF funding last January approved our $36 million. They approved the project. By June 30th, they want the town to appropriate the funds. We have not appropriated the funds.
Right.
We asked for an extension to try to appropriate the funds for July. We did not get the funds in July. We asked for extension to appropriate the funds at our October town meeting. They have a drop-dead date of October 31. our town meeting should be within that date. So again, we'll go, and alls we're asking, and I don't know if this is clear, and I get all the debates, and I don't want to go there, but alls we're asking is to appropriate the funds. We won't be spending those funds or paying back that loan for many years. And we have plenty of time to figure out how we're going to bite that. Alls we're saying is the state gave us the funds, they approved it, we're on the list, we made the cut. Our project for Swiss Beach was to do grinder pumps, everything did not make the cut. That was 62. So they approved our 36 million. It's already approved. So for someone to say it hasn't been approved is misinformation.
Well, not really, because,
Why?
because the state may have said, okay,
That's right.
we can get the 36 million, but we've got to come up with it first.
I get that. All I'm saying is that the state approved it. The town
The state did, but the town didn't.
Exactly. The town didn't appropriate the funds. That's up to the town. But what I'm saying
Right,
is that you're saying the loan isn't approved. It is approved. The appropriation isn't. It's verbiage. It's just
Yeah,
clarity.
I understand that.
The very
Just
first
clarity.
line in the article is the town appropriate 36 million for the purposes of financing the construction of the clarifier upgrade and headworks project, blah, blah, blah. And to meet the appropriation, treasurer with the approval of the select board authorized to borrow. So we are appropriating 36 million. We're asking to appropriate, and out of borrowing, we'll have the monies to do so. And getting all of that makes us eligible for the grants, as it was called, to get the 9.9% reduction and to any other monies that are available for us. I can't think of now the wording. But when we go back, we have to appropriate the monies to qualify for these grants that they're referring to.
And for the low-interest borrowing.
Yeah, the 0%, 0 to 2%, and the 9.9% relief.
The feds are talking about raising the interest rate up to 5.25 for the banks.
Yeah.
Well, they just did, didn't
If
they?
we have to go out on the open market and not qualify for this program, we're gonna be paying through the nose.
Oh, indeed,
That
indeed.
EDU rate will do more than $80 to $100.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, if we don't get these fundings.
Because the risk is if we don't get the waiver, we don't get the grants, and then the cost of the project, which must go forward, is 36 million to the rate users, ratepayers, less whatever we get from Bourne.
If we don't get the authorization and go through with it, correct me if I'm wrong, Guy, but if we don't get the authorization and go through with it, we come off the list and we have to reapply to get back on the list in the future.
That's correct. We also,
We're not guaranteed to get back on the list in the
that's
future.
right,
That's correct,
that's right.
right.
Not enough. To your
Also
point,
look bad.
we also are
Potential cost
reapplying.
right now, looking at that vote from the other night, is to us, if it stands the way it does, you've got a potential cost of probably around $5 million more than what's currently existing.
And then some. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because inflation, maybe it's going to stabilize, maybe it's going to come down, I can't say.
Without the inflation, you.
But interest rates,
Basically, you're gonna lose 10% right off the top. You're gonna lose a 0 to 2%
Interest,
interest
Yes.
financing end of it. So that's gonna be a couple of $3 million.
All of that's fine, Jimmy. How are we going to change the town's mind?
all you have to do is
I think
change
that's where the problem
That
lies.
tonight, but that's one of the things that we need to look at.
how it's handled, I can assure you will be different. There was, Margaret let the meeting get out of control, and I don't believe a lot of the dialogue was put out. For one, almost nothing of what they said was applicable to what we were there for. Because they were asking for what's happened, what else is going on. That wasn't there. They were asked to approve borrowing for the purposes of the headwaters and the clarifiers. Whatever else is over there in that system was not on the floor for discussion.
Unfortunately, the selectmen wanted an idea of what it would cost to totally revamp that station, and no one was able to provide them with a number, and that's why they voted piecemeal, turned it down. I know, I'm not happy.
You know, but you're right. How much is it going to cost to replace
Everything.
everything? Well, Guy, I'd say 250 mil
I agree.
to build.
I think in that area,
Yeah.
that's a number. So we can give them a number,
Yeah.
and they can live with a number. But somebody said from GHD is, I don't want to give you a number because I can throw a million numbers out there. I know that our plant is valued at $350 million 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. Is it valued at $350 million today? I don't know. So maybe if you go dollar for dollar and replace it, then it's $350 million. That's a number. So you want a number? We'll give you a number. The question becomes is, what are you really asking for? Are you talking about siting it someplace else? Are you talking about a new discharge? Are you talking about a groundwater discharge? Are you talking about a surface water discharge? Are you talking about a pipe out to the middle of the ocean?
Excuse me, let me
What are you
interrupt.
talking about?
That's not on our agenda.
To answer your question, it's unfair to ask for a number without details of the number you're looking for. That is not a fair question.
No. And in our reports that we've gotten, especially the last one from GHD, there's charts in there on notice of failure, how common is, what most likely is. So everything's been evaluated. We just didn't go through the runaround of finding out how much it costs. Why? We're not replacing it.
Well,
To that point, it was, the town of Orleans was brought up. They loved the plan with Orleans. I looked it up that night. The engineering firm started in 2015 with Orleans, and they're just now getting around to building the plant. So if we started today, we're looking at 2032, 33 for a new plant.
And put a price on that.
Put a price on that?
Yeah, put a price on that.
Yeah.
well, they were 350,000, so ours is 3 times the cost. So what's that? 240 million?
But what is their customer base?
350,000? 350 million?
I thought their price was 80.
Well, I'm just saying that the time
Orleans.
issue, we don't have time.
Well, I think you would have been better off. See, I'm not nutty about this program because I still don't like the fact that just the ratepayers are paying it back. But leave that alone for a second. When they say we're going to, they keep calling it a Band-Aid, I would have squashed that. If you would brought Mark back up and said, if we do this work to the headworks, and we have to then go on to step and do something to the plant, will these headworks still be sufficient? And his answer is going to be yes. And then if you also note that by doing the work to the headworks, you take some sand out of the system. Sand through all of those pumps in the rest of the plant is like liquid sandpaper. So you say, okay, so the headworks would be step one. Then you go on to the clarifiers. Will these clarifiers be big enough if we do the expansion? Mark again is going to say yes. So that's step two. And as far as Mr. Bessie wanting to know how much it's going to cost, there will be a step 4. There will be a step 6. We don't know how long the plant's going to last. But if we do step 1 and 2, maybe we can limp along a little while, get the cost of this loan paid down a little, and then ask for more. And does it really make any difference what it costs? Are you going to take away indoor plumbing?
Let me ask you this, why didn't you speak?
Because I'm not nutty for this, because I don't like the idea the ratepayers are getting the bill.
So I can count you out as far as the team effort is concerned. I have to have a team or we won't win anything.
Well, I don't think you played the right cards. I mean, that's the argument I would have used.
I respect your opinion, but Mass General laws disagreed with you, so we have to follow that. So irrespective of your opinion, it can't change.
But see-
without your voice, Peter, in addition to the rest of us.
Why, do you think that argument would have changed minds?
I think by showing a united front, I think it might have had an effect. I only needed 2 people. We only needed 2 people to win.
12.
No, it was,
I
For
go
two-
with what Derek told me, I'm sitting
But
next to him.
two-thirds-
1.5%, that's all you needed of the number.
Well,
I-
88 people showed up.
I thought we needed 90 people. There was 30 against us,
You needed 2/3.
We
which
needed
was
two.
another thing that I would have asked for. I would have asked for a recount, and I would have
48
asked
to
for
30.
one person to do the count.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite sure some of those people were counted twice on the right-hand side.
Yeah. Well,
But
irrespective of
that's
that,
all down the tubes.
It is.
if we're going to be successful at anything, irrespective of individual, we have to, when we finally make our vote, work together.
See, in a way, I can look at it that if they don't give us the money and the plant fails, then the whole town pays. And I know that's a rotten way to look at it.
I'm looking at, that sigh was not a frustration, Peter, believe me. It's frustration because I don't know what, if something like that should happen, what the financing would be, how that would be worked out.
I
Because you've
would
got 60% of the community, if that plant fails, are no longer able to flush. You don't have enough storage space, do you? But if it fails catastrophically for any one of those issues, and Guy can't handle the inflow before he gets it repaired, if it's that catastrophic, then it's a very serious problem for the entire community. And what, under those circumstances, is the solution in terms of financing?
The state won't care.
It's an academic question.
Well,
I said, the state won't care. They're going to say, fix it. I don't care what it costs. It will come from the state,
and who are they going to tell fix it?
the town of Wareham,
Thank you.
Yeah.
everyone.
So not just the
I'm not
9,000
sure.
EDUs.
I'd really have to have someone tell me that.
What happened when Plymouth failed?
See, I look at the
I don't know anything about that.
It bankrupt the enterprise. If they, let's say the town said the enterprise, it'll bankrupt the enterprise,
So-
and then the town will pick it up.
So,
Yes.
in other words, you
agree.
look at the enterprise, and the town is the insurance.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
You see, so
It sounds logical.
by them voting against it, it's more the way I wanted it. Because now the whole town has to pay for the repairs, the construction, whatever we have to do.
What's disappointing, and Jimmy can attest to it, is the commission was before them in either the form of our consultants or ourselves, presenting these articles when we first started talking about it in the beginning of the year, because they were going to go on the April town meeting, or a special then that got postponed. So there's been sufficient discussion or opportunity to have an in-depth discussion. And it wasn't asked, and then they faulted us.
Well, how do we go about asking the town to help us out? I
Well, let
mean,
me put it this way. There's 4 committees that it went through, counting ourselves. 3 of them approved it.
Supported it. In favor of. I would use the word in favor of.
Okay. 3 of them were in
I
favor of it,
know
not by
you-
close votes either, and that includes capital planning. In capital planning, you have the administration in there.
yes. I mean,
And capital planning was
I
unanimous.
think if we took a different approach, we could have won it, but you see, I'm still torn as a sewer commissioner. Where's my allegiance? To the town or to the users?
Mine, from my point of view, is to the users.
Well, then we won,
But
because now the whole town has to pay.
no.
Well, when it fails, they will.
We haven't lost yet. And the town is never going to have to pay unless the...
Do you have any idea why the selectmen are so dead set against it?
No idea at all. Why? I have no idea at
I
all.
mean, Judy said that she asked the consultants, what's next? We don't know what's next because we don't know how long we can limp along. but these 2 steps are not Band-Aids, they are important steps, and they will help us limp along further.
Yeah, you put a Band-Aid on a paper cut, you don't put a Band-Aid on this critical issue.
Band-Aid was to let that keep getting said was a mistake. I'm sorry.
Let me put it this way, if we want to be successful, and we're all responsible for success or failure collectively, because we are the sewer commission, we have to work together.
Well, see, now you're coming down to where's your allegiance?
Success benefits the users, because the users are
But
the
it
ones... gonna-
benefits the whole town, and they admitted that.
You're going around in circle, Peter, I won't go any further with you.
I know that, but
Because it's a useless argument, and it eats up time that we don't
Okay.
have.
I think
the
something,
workshop-
I think another thing that would have helped is to know what it's going to cost the users. You say $80 to $100 per EDU.
Yes,
Why does Derek say 4628?
because there's 2 projects bundled in there. 'Cause everyone was asking about that other 3 million.
Excuse me?
Everyone was asking about the other 3 million.
9
No,
million.
no.
9
I'm
million.
not talking about that. I'm talking about strictly the 36.
The two
36, yeah, 36 will have been just under $50 EDU.
Excuse me?
The 36 million would have been just under $50 incremental EDU. I don't know where the 80 to 100 came from, because only the 36 million,
You can't say 80 to 100.
because it is the common,
Collectively, between the two.
collectively, because there's another project that has been approved for payment for $9 million, and that EDU estimate hadn't been made public. It is now public.
8454.
8450, plus the 40-something from the,
13082.
yes, so $140, the estimated increase in EDU for 3 projects if the 36 million had been approved. We have 2 projects, one for 6 million to line the force main from the pump station at back of Wareham to the plant from the Narrows, and we have 3 million to do, what was that, the project in Swiss Beach.
That's 36.
6 and 3 is 9.
To get the 6.
6 was for the Narrows lining.
Oh, that, okay. That
We
is-
approved that project. Remember, we came back and had to ask for more money because
Yes,
no
yes,
bid.
yes,
yeah,
yes,
so-
yes, yes.
So that's the 6 million. And then we have the 3
I
million.
thought we got that already, that they already let us have that.
It's been approved, but no one ever said the
When you
increment.
said it's approved, who approved it?
The town meeting approved the 6 million, but no one ever told the users the incremental EDU it cost. We just got that from Derek. That's the $80. That's the $80. We never heard that number before.
So each one of the 9,000 EDUs is going up $130.
No, we have 9,000 odd EDUs out there. Oh, yeah, per EDU, yes.
If the 36, when the 36 is approved, yes.
It'll totally go up about that.
Right now, it's only going up 80 because of the 9 million that has been approved by town meeting.
Because I remember you making the calculation
Yes,
for 130.
yep. Adding the 2 together.
Yeah. Okay? Good. Moving on, the subjects for the workshop. I have begun making calls. It is, as you notice, I moved it, and it'll be 1 to 4 on our regular Thursday meeting day in this room.
I'm sorry.
The subjects for the workshop, I've got to call out to Ken to see what kind of development is on the books, what they're proposing, what they're considering doing. I'm going to have the Board of Health in to let us know what there's areas that is conditioned. Now, this isn't a long presentation these people are going to do. This is just in FYI, formal information, that there's an area of town which we should maybe consider for sewerage. Just doing our due diligence.
I thought we had to do Agawam Beach before we could do anything else, because that was the last of the,
We're not establishing a priority here, we're just establishing what
Okay.
does need the level.
but I thought that had to be finished because that was the third stage of,
The town decided, if you remember, the town decided to cancel Contract 3. People from Agawam, people from Mayflower Ridge got together, formed a committee, and shot it down. So we're not doing it.
I didn't think Mayflower Ridge was involved. I thought it was just Agawam.
It was both of them, but yes.
But we
Mayflower Ridge
have-
was involved.
Yes, let's see
But
what
that-
the Board of Health has to say, where we know where our some high priorities are, because we were told to increase our output into the Agawam. We strongly recommended we sewer these communities, and we were given a list of those communities to sewer, and it did not include Agawam. It included those housing developments where the drive-in used to be. It included the mobile home parks on that side of Route 28. That's what the state recommended we sewer if we want to increase our outflow.
Because Agawam and the Wareham River are identified water bodies. Where Agawam is, I believe that goes into the area of onset. And I'm not so sure if that was
the areas,
identified.
if we sewer those areas, at least what's going in the Agawam will be treated as opposed to what's leaching into it now.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And septic tanks, historically, even the most well-maintained septic tank will put in
I mean,
40 milligrams
I
per
love
liter.
it when people say, I only have to pump mine once because it works so great.
Yeah.
Come on, it's going someplace, folks.
And that was one issue that was relevant to the moratorium, because if you're projecting to do more, you have to get some idea of what more is.
So, on the workshop, who's coming in? The Board of Health?
Yes.
Now, do we have a list of the areas that the state
Well,
wanted to do?
if you're pumping your septic tank, they have to have a permit. The septic company has to gain a permit from the Board of Health, and they'll track it. And they can go the frequency of certain areas.
And the Board of Health is required to keep track of all those Title Vs, and if they're being inspected per requirement, which is yearly or whatever it is, whether the telephone call is made or whatever it is. But they know where the Title Vs are been updated. We just need to say, okay, where do we have our cesspools?
It's an awareness, FYI. Because as they say, we want to project or we want to grow, and yet if you go through, referring back to the Q list, by my calculations, there's about 253,000 gallons committed. But as I say, when I say committed, someone comes in, they go up to the guy, and they'll say, okay, I'm there, give me 5,000 gallons. They may end up printing half that. It's an arbitrary figure that the architect or designer wants to go, so that may be the number. However, it's the only number we have to work with. So when we look at things, we have to use that, even though we know it may be erroneous. However, it's for the point of discussion, not the point of what we're going to do. But if you wanted, that plant, I'll go off tangent now. If you want to satisfy the sewer needs of the community for 10 years, up to 10 years from now, you're going to have to go to 7 million gallons and at a different location or have satellite plants. Now, from my limited knowledge, and it's off the cuff, absolutely no credibility, I would start there and I'd say, because we want to grow and we have to consider that. And so that's what this information, hopefully with the workshop, we'll get some of that information, get a better feel for where we want to go. That would be redevelopment authority will come in, planning board.
Are you asking them all to come to the workshop?
Yes.
Did
I'll
I,
schedule them for 20-minute intervals or whatever they come in.
did I hear redevelopment authority?
Yes,
Okay.
So you're going to try and get the redevelopment authority?
the chair, Butler, and, yeah. And I'm not trying to impose it maybe a day, this is 2 weeks in.
Just where they're planning to build and, okay.
Yeah, I get
And
an
so-
idea what they, because they're all doing their own thing.
So do you have to coordinate with them before you set a date?
I have the date,
Oh,
2 weeks hence.
what is
And,
it again, please?
Um,
Oh, is that the October? one?
August,
yeah, that's our next meeting.
August 10.
August?
Yes, that's the workshop at 1 o'clock.
I thought it was October for some reason.
Don't worry, Peter, I'm right there next to you.
You know, my doctor calls me the day before to remind me when I have to be someplace. Wouldn't hurt for you to do it.
And we will also
What
talk
time was
about
it again? I'm sorry.
1 o'clock in this room. 1 o'clock in this room. Then we're back 6:30 in this room in the same afternoon
Come knock on the door, Bob, will you?
for our meeting.
I think our meeting would be wonderful. How do we make it our meeting?
Live television.
We'll see.
So,
That's just a couple that I've reaching out to. Just as an aside, I've reached out to Bourne, and they haven't called me back yet to make an appointment to meet with them. They, as the sewer commissioners, I believe they meet infrequently. However, they are the selectmen, are the sewer commissioners. So I just, hi, how are you? And update them as to what we intend to do in the plant, in the improvements, and give them a face-to-face update on our actions.
so we have four for the workshop, including the pending project list.
Yes.
Board of Health, Planning Department, and Redevelopment Authority.
And those are just the ones that I've reached out to, but I haven't got any response
Is there
back,
any,
but I-
are there any topics you'd like to include to the workshop other than these 3 presentations?
I was going to ask you each if there's something in particular you would like information on from one of the departments. I think almost every department has some effect on us,
Zoning.
very indirectly. I'm not sure about zoning.
Well, with the 40B and the capacity that they can,
Yes, I'd like to talk about who approves 40, why we're not involved with the approval of 40B usage.
Okay, I'll reach out to zoning also. It won't be an impact on them per se, because it's only 10, 15, 20 minutes.
It's an informational session.
Indeed, yeah. Okay, and moving on then, if you feel anything come up that you would be interested in, by all, let me know. I'll see if I can reach out for it. The next on G, the upgrade on the condition of the pumps, that's been taken care of. Guy is,
You
missed given it- F. pardon?
You missed F.
Oh, the F is a recent article. The article I found was an old one that is no longer applicable. How or why it got there, I don't know how, but. And then the discussion, the pumps, that's taken care of. The handling of the minutes of the meeting, we got that taken care of early on. The GHD reports, as I said, I have everything that I was able to find. I know there are some things probably in your closets, the bottom drawer of your dresser, things of that nature. If you do have anything, let me know, I'll scan it in, and we'll get it in.
I gave you my whole workbook that I got when I joined, right?
Yes.
Is that this?
No.
No, that's another one at home, that's just as big.
I sort of cannibalized it
Okay.
because I made separate files of particular things, and the information you had given me in that book wasn't dated, obviously, but it was a starting point.
Yep.
So then I've been built on it. The, most of these reports, what I do I got them on a USB file, but I'll print out the first couple pages that gives me the index of what's in it. And so it's easier to scan the index, finds my subject matter, than trying to go through the whole damn book. And as I said, you're going to kill your printer if you try to print it out, too. So it helps. I work with paper much better than I do on a computer screen, but at least it gives me guidance where to go. And the comprehensive water management plan, that is a requirement for satisfying the qualifications to be eligible in the clarifiers and the headworks application for the 9.9% reduction, as well as the potential of 0.2% in the borrowing. There are about 7 pieces of criteria that are required for it, and this is one, and it's critical. I've asked Bob to help me in that. It is becoming quite involved because it involves the entire community regards to water usage and the like. And when my first walk in the guy's office, Lee was there. I believe Mark was there also, the introduction, and it was my first introduction to this. And then earlier in the meeting, Guy referred to it as being like so, and it was. I
And
think that's why I gave it to Bob.
GHD is doing that for us?
Beg your pardon?
GHD is doing that?
GHD is the principal in that, yes. We've,
What did we contract them for? How much money? I can't remember.
I don't know how much money is total, but we, last fiscal year, we've paid them almost $670,000.
I'm not sure of the cost. It was the cheapest of the 3. I think Beta was $800,000. I think OSD was probably around $600,000. I think they're around $400,000 to
think
do the
the-
comprehensive wastewater management plan.
Yeah, the CWMP was, I think, was a separate article.
It was. I believe it was like $400,000. It's average price. I think Bourne spent $370,000. I think Marion spent close to $400,000. Other towns spent more. So it was kind of a ballpark figure.
Separate article?
Yes, the comprehensive water management plan is or was a separate obligation the town has to fulfill.
Oh, but I don't remember it being a town meeting article. That's why the word article confused me.
Yes, no, it's not. It's not a town meeting article that I'm aware of. No, so,
That was just the source of funding, I know. I would have.
no, we
assumed.
paid out of the budget, right? It's a contract. We have contract with a lot of folks, and we pay for it out of the budget. It's a budget item.
Well, I
Right.
consider, as I said, the FY fiscal year '23, we paid them over $660,000, and I was looking, I didn't go back to see what articles that's funded under.
I don't believe they're articles. I can look, but I don't believe they're articles.
There was no town meeting article for
I don't
this one.
believe so.
When is the estimated completion date?
Well, that's a tough one. You'll have a draft, I believe, this fall. The hard part is
Wait a minute, no.
so I'm just going to explain it. It's hard part about this is a comprehensive wastewater management plan is your plan for the next 20 years. It's more than just to get loans. The last one took quite a while. The problem is that once the town, every department in the town of Wareham, to which you alluded to, has to be part of this process, and the meetings are important. We've had a hard time getting Patrick to the meeting, hard time getting zoning to the meeting. We've had Ken once, because what we're saying to the town is, we want a plan for the next 20 years, sewer use. That's what it is. So everybody in the town has to be involved. There's public meetings. Then you've got DEP, you got MEPA, you've got IEP, you got all these different governmental agencies. And then you get the environmentalists who have to comment. And all this has to take place, and then it has to be ratified and certified by the selectmen. We want to put together a draft this fall, probably October, maybe September, a draft of the parts that we can handle. All the parts that are delegated to the state, different bodies within the state, different environmental groups, we have no control over. But you'll get a document saying, from the people we talk to in the town, and from what we can put together, these are the need areas, assessment, how many gallons, et cetera, plant, where we may go, we may not go, that type of information. And then it has to start being pushed forward to state organizations. So that's where the unknown is, and I'd like to say a year, but the government isn't quick.
But you just said we have to have it,
Yes,
Absolutely.
qualify for this money.
I didn't say that.
it's one of the issues.
Okay, well,
Bernie said
are we
it.
going to have it?
I said it's one of the criteria.
For this, you're talking about 36 million? It'll be completed.
So it'll be, can we get a Reader's Digest version of this?
Well, we're trying to get you a Reader's Digest or a draft
I mean, come on.
in October.
Nobody's going to,
I understand.
There's an executive summary,
It's in a
which is probably
collective-
about 10
yeah,
pages.
It's a collective of all the reports. Yes, there'll be an executive
There's an
summary.
executive summary, it's probably about 10 pages.
executive.
Yes, they call it, well, you're an
I get a
executive.
copy of that?
Don't
You're an
let it go to your
executive.
head, Peter.
Yes, you're an executive.
But it is a complex document. I think we started last November, and my introduction to it, I realized it's very, very in-depth in every aspect of it. And I'm not sure, in the last one was done 20, wasn't it?
2002 by CDM.
Yeah, I haven't seen that
Camp Justin McGree, I
before,
think they're Smith.
unless that was the one Lee showed me.
That's what it shows, 2002.
Yeah,
And
okay,
they did the
that's-
same thing. In the back of that, you'll see the departments, the MEPR and the EPR and all the different agencies it has to go through and the time frame. So it'll give you, if you go through it, it'll give you an idea of the a reference for you, the different agencies it has to go through, environmental group, public comments. Because that's the hard part, Peter, because
Yeah.
you just don't know. That stuff just drags on
That
forever.
report is mandatory, not just for the qualifying for our article. It is mandatory for the town
But it's good reading when you've got nothing to do.
for a long time.
I need something to put me to sleep at night, so I
I'll
could
give you a
read it.
copy of that. Yes, I'll get you a copy of that because that'll definitely do it.
Can you, sometime after October, read it for us and come back and give a synopsis?
I got to tell you, for me to get through it, I had to put it on a disc, what they call, whatever you call it. I call it a disc, but
One
it's
disc?
a thumb.
Okay,
I have it on thumb,
A big one.
and I do sections at a time. It's taken me a couple of years to get as far as I did, but because it's that intense, and some of it's technical, and you got to go through it, especially reports from the environmental groups. They get very technical on Q factors and all this, so it's slow read, but yeah, I got it on a thumb drive, and that's how I read it.
when do you have time for golf?
Sunday mornings is golf time, that's it. It's dedicated, Sunday morning is golf, it's a dedicated time. That's all. Yes. And sometimes before, because if I can get a 6 o'clock tea time, it's before church.
Oh, they're both religious events then.
Yes, they are.
Okay, contracts we have, we only one, the Knowles Enterprises.
Make a motion, we approve this one.
What is it?
It's maximum of $150,000 to provide goods and services for weekend operations and maintenance services.
Had a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
I am sending the contract down for signature.
Oh, I was going to use this one. 6-1, there's your cover sheet. Next item we have is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I get a lot, but I'll just blow through this, a couple things, because I know the hour is getting late. It's kind of it's been a problem. The board approved 3 lots by, I believe it was Nazi, on Murphy Street. I think it was 8, 9, or 10, or 10, 9, there's lots to put single-family homes, and they have. One lady's doing one now, one lady did one. One of them is a duplex. On that report, when I see it in the building permit, I had said that the board approved single-family homes. We did not approve a duplex. They still built a duplex. It is a duplex. We have two, if you will, EDUs on a 1 EDU. So I think when you bring folks in, that's something we really need to address. Not if that's to the building department, planning, I'm not so sure, but that was approved for duplex when it wasn't, we didn't approve duplex, we approved single family.
So we approved 330 gallons, and they're using 660,
Yes, they have to have a duplex,
which
yes.
means they exceeded our moratorium.
Well, yeah, I can say that, but they exceeded what they're, it's a single family, they exceeded, yes. So anyways, I just think it's something that we need to address with the different boards, and seeing you're gonna have them in here, it may be a question we can ask, how does that happen? When we say a single family home and they do a duplex, two separate animals.
I think we'll have to explore, go ahead.
I'm sorry. They're building those places right now. Before they can sell them or lease them, they've got to get a CO, right?
That's correct.
Okay. In order to stay within the confines of what we have allowed versus what they're doing, is there potential to get the building department to not authorize a CO for a couple of them?
It comes in front of me, I
that becomes-
don't have to sign it, but I don't know if that can stop it.
Yeah.
I can ask,
It's a certificate of occupancy,
yes.
Yeah.
can't use it.
That's right, every department signs off.
Certificate of occupancy would have to include sewerage, I would think.
I sign off.
you
And so,
You wouldn't sign off on all of them. I mean, I would request that,
Jim, there's some I haven't signed off on that went forward.
I know, I'm sure. I
So I just-
understand that.
That's all I'm saying, we should,
I'm not arguing, I'm just looking at.
how do we tighten it? Yeah, how do we tighten it?
You do what you try what you can.
Yes. Because I won't sign off.
You lose some, that's all.
Yeah,
Would it-
exactly.
What are you saying?
Would it be proper for us to make a motion to instruct you not to sign off?
Has it already left your desk?
Yeah, I did. I didn't sign off. I haven't signed off on anything to duplex. Matter of fact, my notes say that we approved a single, not a duplex. I will not sign off because it's a duplex. I'm told that they're occupying. I haven't been by there to verify it. I got a call from a very angry, a few angry individuals in Swiss Beach because they feel that it shouldn't have been, and I said to them very plainly, I did not sign off on it.
Motion
I'll
that
have to look,
I'll
so-
entertain a motion that the Board of Sewer Commissioners support the superintendent in refusing to give approval
I'll
of that
make
connection.
motion.
Motion's made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Any comments, Guy?
Is there an address I can put in the minutes?
I'm not sure it's Murphy Street, and I don't want to give you a number, but it's Murphy Street. One of them 3 lots that we approved on Murphy Streets, the ones that in the 2 feet of water, groundwater.
Okay,
Those
the
there.
number will be entered
I
into
don't
the
have
record. When
How?
it's- When it's available.
I don't want to, because I
You don't
don't,
want to say the number out loud, but you know which one of the three.
it could be one of, yeah, I don't want to say that, I don't want to get involved in the number, but it's Murphy Street.
Any further discussion? Peter, any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
I want to give you an example of a Band-Aid, because that's, the word seems to be thrown loosely. We have a blower that blew up, and we have 2 others that's struggling. We had to put new motors repairing them. So we rented a blower for $17,000 a month to get through this summer. That's a Band-Aid. In the winter, we'll go back to normal because we don't have the demand of oxygen because of temperatures, a lot of factors. That's a Band-Aid. We also have an AC, 2 5-ton air conditioners and their air handlers in our filter blower building. They failed. They failed twice before. It's a very, very dangerous environment, it's corrosive. So we rented a blower, a 12-ton blower, we rented one, and that's costing $5,000 a month. We'll keep that until we can get out to bid. And we talked to the HVAC folks, they're saying it's months and months away. Components for air conditioning, for the HVAC air exchangers, roof, inside, have been very difficult. So we'll put that out to bid eventually. When it gets cooler, we won't need to get it down to 72. What we're cooling is a MCC room, which is a room full of electronics, computers, starters, VFDs, a lot of heat generated. Today, the room was 90 degrees. It's that much heat generated. We're only going to lower it down to 72. But that's a Band-Aid, because we're going to eventually do something with a bid to have it replaced. I'm trying to find an alternative because this will be the 3rd time we replace those units, and that building's been online since 2005. So it's very corrosive, and we keep losing them. So there's got to be a better way. I don't know what it is, but I'm trying to find out what it could be. But that's a Band-Aid. So I wanted to be clear, because we're doing something temporary, knowing that we have to do a permanent fix, but a permanent fix is not possible right now, so we're doing a Band-Aid to get us to the permanent fix. That's all it is. So that's tonight an example of a Band-Aid.
Guy, do you have that in your budget? That money's?
It's there. I don't know how I'll end up, but it's there because I have no option. It isn't like I have a choice to say, you know what, let me do some numbers. I've got 7 million, let me project, because I don't have that option. If I don't cool that room, I blow that room, I lose all my computers, I shut down the plant, I back up the town, but I'll be in budget.
And I know
see
you
it.
have a line in there for unexpected lot.
And we may use it, I don't know. We may use there's a word for it, unanticipated. We may overdo our outside contractor's budget. I can't tell you where it's going to come from, but I can tell you that we don't have an option. Because if I don't do it, we're in serious trouble. I can't, the CPP-1, which is a computer that runs the skater, that allows us to not staff for 24 hours, if that goes down, we lose a portion of that plant, and we're in trouble. So there's no option. But that's a Band-Aid because we have to have a long-term plan. And I can't do that immediately. There's no way I can fix it immediately because it's just not possible. The bidding process in itself is a nightmare, and getting components for AC is a nightmare. So that's my issue. I've talked to 4 AC or HVAC companies, and all of them told me, yeah, get back to us in October. So that's a dilemma for me. So that's a Band-Aid. And I'll leave it at that. Woodland Cove is tying in, as we all know. That's the 40B project. Yesterday, they actually put the manhole in the street, and they're bringing the force main. I believe they're going to go online pretty soon. They've asked again to not use grinder pumps, and I told them they are using grinder pumps because I don't like the concept of rags and things coming from apartment complexes or any else, but specifically apartment complex because they're heavily concentrated. So they are doing that. So I'm excited about that. We also charge them an I&I fee for inflow and infiltration. The biggest problem in the town of Wareham is not infiltration, it's inflow. The majority of our I&I is inflow, which is sump pumps, leaders, things of that sort, the leaders that come out of your roof drains and all that. That's your inflow. So we'll probably never solve it. We'll probably never get solved because they're difficult to solve, and it's not popular to solve that problem. What I am saying, the state of Massachusetts tells us that if it's 15,000 gallons per day or more, then they are obligated to remove 4 gallons of infiltration inflow for every gallon they give to us. And you can do it one of two ways. You can say, here's a project that has this many gallons you're adding, fix that if you have something in a list. Or you can say, which we did to Woodland Cove, it's $5 per gallon of flow that you want to get. That came out to $150,000 for them.
How long?
It's a one-time fee, $150,000. It's a one-time fee. They're paying it as it comes to the permitting, so they're paying it because they're going, I guess it's phases they approved. So each phase will have a fee attached to it. What I'm saying is that I did a lot of research, and many, many communities in the Massachusetts have I&I fees. They base it that if you do under 1,500 gallons per day, it's $500 for every connection. If it's 15 to a number, it's whatever. And then when it gets over the magic threshold of 15,000, then it's per gallon. And what I'm saying is we keep talking about having no money. This is a gold mine. It is for many communities throughout the state. It allows them to do repairs. It allows them to do their infrastructure, whatever the case may be. Every connection has a value. I had a guy call me from Marion. For him to do his complexes, he's doing some condos, it's going to cost him in the excess of $300,000 to connect to the system. And they have those type of fees, and it's pretty expensive, and it's throughout the state. It's a revenue source that we're missing. We need to have that revenue source. So I think we should look into it and apply it, pass an ordinance that says you will pay a fee to connect, and whatever those numbers, you decide on the numbers. It averages $5 a gallon. I've seen $7.50 a gallon. I've seen $13 a gallon. I've seen variable numbers, and you can say whatever you want to say. I've seen as low as $3 a gallon in some small communities. But it's revenue. It's revenue. And I think it's something that we need to consider because we have a lot of capital projects.
Right now, you We have 150,000 from Woodland Cove. What are we going to do for Littleton Drive?
We did nothing.
We did
We
nothing.
did nothing.
Just like we didn't charge it, we didn't charge them a betterment.
No, we
either.
did nothing. We did nothing. And
Why
that,
would they not have an I fee?
well, and many others. I charge an IM fee to the Wareham development, I guess where Jersey Mike's is and that, all these, they paid a fee, they paid two fees. They paid an I fee and a corrosion fee because they have restaurants. And because we know restaurants create corrosive,
You charged them, we just didn't know about it.
well, we did it here, we proved it. You weren't involved. I don't think you were involved when we did all these. We approved it. We did it here. I brought it to the board approved it, and we charged them. We have no policy. We should have a standard policy, so it's not case by case. Well, I don't like Woodland Cove, but I like these folks. No, it's a policy across the board. Everybody that connects pays a fee. Everybody pays a fee, and that's revenue, and that's solid revenue, especially if we're going to get past this moratorium. We've lost tons of money. I look at all, Walmart paid nothing, I can go on and on, these big flows. We should be charging because they contribute to the inflow and infiltration, they contribute to the degradation of our infrastructure, especially restaurants. We should have a corrosion fee established for restaurants because what they give us, their pH could be 2 to 4. That's pretty corrosive. You see, so we need to talk about that, and that's all. So I think maybe one of your workshops, it might be a great, healthy discussion in your workshop. I can give you different communities what they're doing, and you guys can vet through it and say, look, hey, well, let's do something that's reasonable and pass some type of policy that says we will have this.
Indeed, it seems a window that we're not taking an opportunity for.
Well, it seems like
And-
Guy has been doing it.
I've been doing it,
Seems like Guy's been doing it.
I've been doing it, and it's
Formalize it.
arbitrarily because it's not formal.
And so if in the process of your research, download it, copy it, and send it to us.
I started that already. I
Thank
will
you.
get it to you.
And we'll talk about it at the workshop as well, because we'll have to involve a couple other departments in being aware of it.
Because I found it interesting, and I also found different buildings, and I've looked at some buildings throughout the state, and they list fee, user fee, fee for this project, fee for infiltration, inflow, fee for this. All those fees are there. And I think it's important. It shows me there's a lot of fees that we should consider, that are legitimate fees. This isn't, let's just make money. These I know because they have a cause and effect. Every time someone ties to the sewer, there's a cause and effect. Somebody's going to pay for that cause and effect.
Sounds like we're losing a lot of money collectively.
Anyways, that's my report, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Can we get an update on what's happening on Swiss Beach? Anybody, any idea what's happening with the repairs on Wankinko?
My understanding, it's, again, I believe we're waiting for something to sign off from Derek. As far as the financing is concerned, the part of Wankinko that Danny Warren has been advocating is going to be paid for out of funds that we've already appropriated for the article for Swift Beach in general, and because Wankinko is included in it, we can use those monies now because we've appropriated it, and the ARPA funds, he will use that monies to replace the monies he's using out of that article. It's been appropriated money, so it's appropriate to do that because it's still within the Swift Beach
Grant.
area, and then he'll use the ARPA funds to fund the article for Swift Beach in general.
Or the ARPA fund will be used to repair the gravity lines in Swiss Beach?
Yes.
No article.
Beg your pardon?
No article will be created for the ARPA fund.
No.
Okay, so that the article that was
The existing article is already.
just approved, because it has the word Wankinko in it, will be used to pay for the Wankinko gravity line repair by Danny Warren. My question is, any idea when that project will start?
No. I talked to Danny.
'Cause didn't we
this
have an
morning, and
overflow?
I talked to Derek today, yesterday, and best of my knowledge, it's still, there is something there, signature or whatever. I do not have the details other than know that it is, funding is there. When it's going to start, I have no idea.
Mr. Chairman,
No.
my only question is, I thought we were going to get $1 million of ARPA for the Narrows project. We've been told that. I'll have to check with Mr. Sullivan, but I think I've got information, I got emails going back and forth, and we're going to have Mr. Garino apply for the sewer for the Narrows. He asked me a lot of questions, and he was doing an application for that project for the Narrows Force Main. I thought it was $1 million, maybe a little over, I'm not so sure. I don't want to lose that money for that project, but it sounds to me like it may be reallocated. That's what it sounds like to me.
The amount of money being allocated, the 3 million, there is more than that in that account. So I don't think that endangers that, but I can't give you any information. I know absolutely nothing about that project.
Mr. Chair, something under unfinished business. Where do we stand with this?
Which one is that?
The bill from Ferrera for not doing the job that we had contracted for. 2 weeks ago, it went to
That's gone
Mr.
to,
Bowen.
Beg your pardon, Jim?
It's gone to legal.
Yeah,
2 weeks ago, it went to legal. We still have no
Gone to
response.
legal.
still illegal, as far as I know.
Can we put it on the agenda to
Not
do
until we
for,
get a response from legal.
can we put it on the agenda to get an update?
No, because
So when
that,
we get a response from the attorney, we will not be on the agenda to talk about it.
What's there to talk about?
It's
How
a
are we gonna
legal
pay
matter,
for
so
it?
I won't, it's a legal matter, so it'd be inappropriate
Okay,
for us to ask for an
I
update.
just don't want it forgotten.
Oh, indeed, I understand. I don't think you'll let me, Sandy.
I will try not to.
Any unfinished business? The conflict of interest and open meeting law, as I mentioned. And I don't have anything else. Anything anyone else wants to bring up?
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. There being no debate, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote.
8:15, we're closing.
Raining yet? We good? You beat the rain?